disclosure. Sober disclosure. Breezy's a slut.
And we like it in the butt.
Are you or someone you know looking for support in recovery? Taste Recovery is your go-to directory for sober resources. Whether you're searching for treatment centers or sober living communities, Taste Recovery connects you with the right tools and support to help you on your journey. With a user-friendly platform and a comprehensive list of resources, Taste Recovery makes finding the help you need easier than ever. Start building your path to a healthier, sober life today. Visit tasterecovery.com to find the resources that work for you. Taste Recovery, your first step to a lasting positive change. Hi everyone, I'm Breezy.
And I'm Jimmy.
And we are
Sober
Disclosure.
We're here today with our first trans guest, Ari Royer.
And he literally leaves.
If you look at his crotch, there's no bulge. He's an FTM, female to male.
It's aggressive.
Oh my god. This is what happens every episode.
I told him, is there anything off limits? He goes, yeah, I just can't show my bulge.
Nuh-uh.
He gets into sex like right away. First 5 seconds. We're already there.
He said, I have a wife and kids. Oh my god.
Okay, so the ice has been broken. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. So how much time sober do you have?
8 years.
8 years.
January 1st, 2017. Yeah, we're rolling.
That's good.
You got sober on New Year's Day,
Not, well,
right?
not
January
technically.
1st.
So,
So your birthday's not January 1st?
yeah, so I got sober on the 26th of December, kind of, but I was taking detox meds, so my first sponsor said, when's your first day with no detox meds?
Okay.
Gave him the day, it was the first.
How do you feel about that?
Sponsor direction.
Yeah.
I just left it at that. That's what
You
it
don't
was.
think about it anymore.
I mean, kind of when it gets time around my birthday, I'm like,
Yeah.
26 or first, but that's what he said to do, and then that's what I did.
That's actually
Interesting.
hard.
Yeah.
I have someone right now
It's kinda
that
tricky.
I'm sponsoring that I made them change their date
Because of the same thing?
because it's similar, but then they're like, "Oh, I have a year." I'm like, "No, you don't." And then they're gonna like throw themselves a birthday party for a year, but I'm like, "You don't have a year."
But I feel like your intention, though, that's my thing. I feel like that is like a...
Well, I think it's personal between you and your sponsor.
Yeah.
No one else can tell you that.
No, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. I just personally am like, I feel like it's medical, like you're doing it for a medical reason to detox off of it. But
Sure.
I get it. Yeah. No, that makes sense. So is this your first time getting sober?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. How many times have you tried getting sober?
Gosh, I don't even know the number. I was a chronic relapser.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is this your first substantial amount of sober time?
This is my first time truly even over a year. I think I was like a 10, 11 month guy a lot.
Okay, that's pretty normal, I feel like.
Yep.
What was the thing, now that you're looking back on those times, was it the fear of turning 1? Because I feel like you hear that a lot. It's like people get in their head about like, oh my god, it's almost my year, and then they always relapse right before.
I don't think so for me.
No.
I don't think that played a part in it. I think for me, this last time that I got sober was probably the first time that no one was like, hey, you gotta get sober. It was the first time that like I came to that decision.
You wanted to get sober yourself.
Yeah, like there was no one
Yeah.
who was like, get sober.
Okay, so bring us back to that moment. What was going on in your life that led you here, sitting in this room with us?
Yeah, it's a trip. This time, it was a relapse where I think I was relapsing for maybe about 4 months.
Okay.
I can't
four
think.
to 4 to 6 months in and out. I was living in hotel rooms. I had money. I had money. So I was still kind of holding down a job that was good pay, but I was absolutely miserable
Yeah.
on heroin. It was the only thing that mattered to me. And I was just doing the hotel shuffle in like Newport, Costa Mesa.
Mm-hmm.
Sandpiper.
Yeah, I remember when I the money kind of started.
And then you went to the Star Inn because you couldn't afford Sandpiper.
So I started at the Balboa Bay Club.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, Balboa Bay Club, and
For one night.
No, I was there for like a week, and then
A week?
Yeah, I was there.
That's
for
like $5,000.
And then I was like, "Fuck this! I'm not gonna have any heroin money if I keep stay here."
Yeah.
So then I moved. Then I moved to like the Marriott, and then the Hilton.
The Marriott in Newport?
Yeah, and then I'm like,
okay, that's like $3,000.
I know, and then I'm like, and then I'm like at the Island, at Fashion Island, that one.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and then but
You're
this is
living large in your addiction.
kind of you know what I mean. I was masking how truly.
Where'd you get
broken
all
I
that
was inside.
money?
I was working. I was hustling.
Oh, so it was your
jokes.
money.
Ari is an amazing salesman.
You are?
Well, I just had clients that I was working with for a long time, so it was like
You had money coming in.
I wouldn't show up to work, and I would put my orders in the hotel room.
No
Yeah.
way.
Okay, so you said, I like that you said you were a chronic relapser, because I am too, and I was like, oh, I'm a relapser, and they're like, you need to say you were, because you were.
Yeah.
I like that. Also, I want to go back and talk to you about, you said you wouldn't make it to like 1 year, but by doing the work now, do you realize what emotions came that you couldn't handle, or situations where you're like, I can't do this, I need to go use? She said some people do close to a year. In my opinion, I feel like if you do the work in 12-step program, then I feel like you can see your routine on what you used to do, so then you can break it. Did you figure that out? Like mine was like getting into a relationship, and I couldn't deal with the emotions, so then I would like get out of the relationship and relapse, so then I don't have to deal with it. So I did that over and over. Do you know what your routine was?
Yeah, I definitely did that. I mean, I think I was just like an overcomplicator, right? I guess two things probably come to mind. Like, you hear it all the time, like, rarely do we see a person fail who thoroughly follows our path. I just did not thoroughly follow the path. I
Did your own thing.
Because you were lazy.
I was incapable. it wasn't even
Well,
lazy.
I'm just.
I would get sober.
What was it?
I would get sober.
Or you just were like, fuck it.
Or I just wouldn't come in and sit all the way down. It was like I just couldn't take that direction. I could not take the direction.
So like your ego.
Yep. Ego.
Doing things my way. So that would be your routine every time when you were like, I'm gonna do this, and then when somebody says something, you're like, accept that.
No commitment.
Yeah.
Like I just that was what it was.
So you were on the fence every time.
Yeah, and even though like I wanted to not like use, I didn't. I had no solution. I wasn't helping others. I wasn't. Like I said, no commitments. I would do steps, but if you're not doing the other things, like I don't think it matters.
So you had a sponsor and you were still working the steps. You just didn't finish the triangle.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, you did one part.
Yeah. It was like I was a line, like a single line.
Maybe like a corner.
You were a line in the
You were just like
triangle.
Yeah.
the top.
Yeah. For bunny ears. Yeah.
Do you feel like you ever, and this could apply to this current sobriety too, but I feel like a lot of people get sober and then they switch their addictions. Were you one of those people? Like, have you found that you get addicted to other things? Not necessarily, obviously, drugs, but like people, jobs.
Ari's like me. I already know what he's gonna say.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously. Come on.
Food.
Yeah, food. For sure. Yeah, and it's always like.
Dude,
far-
I know. We
far-
talk about it all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
far one way or far the other way. Like, dude, I remember when I got sober this time, I'm like full blown. Because, like, obviously, when you're on heroin, you're just a pile of shit. And so I'm like full blown in the gym every day,
Ooh.
crushing abs, fucking hair removal all over the body 3 times a week, fucking, you know what I mean? Just all about the appearance, the outsides, right?
Yeah.
And I'm so lucky that I was doing other things that kept me sober, I think. But other addictions for sure, anything, food, relationships.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything that comes along with relationships, sex, all that stuff.
Well, that's
You know what I
everybody,
mean?
Yeah.
Workaholic, sports. I was a big sports bettor.
Oh.
Big sports
Oh, I
bettor.
didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
International
let's get into that.
Oh,
We
yeah.
haven't had
Gambling.
anyone talking about that.
Sure.
Okay, so
International.
that was this sobriety?
Yeah, the sobriety.
Okay.
International ping pong in the middle of the night, setting the lines in my phone. Yeah, dude. Tennis.
Don't a lot of Asian people play that?
Women's tennis doubles.
The ping
dude.
pong?
Yeah.
I
ping
saw
pong.
the guys
yeah.
from Asia. They're crazy.
Yeah.
Wait, so you
I don't
would
remember their names,
bet
but-
on them?
Yeah.
Like on who was gonna win?
Who was gonna win? Yeah, who was gonna win?
And so you had to watch it 24/7 to like know who, because I'm sure there's a lot of players. Like it's not like baseball
Yeah.
where like,
So
this is break this specific stuff down for us.
yeah,
This
so
is
I wasn't
interesting.
I wasn't researching. I was more of just like picking favorites for that.
Okay.
So then you get a high if you win, and you get a low if you lose. Like drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so how'd you get out of that? I feel like I still do it.
No. Honestly, it just kind of fizzled out a little bit, and and also when I met Jenny, I think I kind of noticed she was like, "What's going on here?"
Yeah.
And then I
She's
but
like, why are you betting on my hair money? Just kidding.
It's the power of pussy, right? I was like, yeah, I probably quit smoking cigarettes around that time too.
No
Really?
way.
And then
Because
you
she
switched to
wanted you to?
vaping.
Huh?
Because she wanted you to?
No.
Oh, you just.
You just wanted to be better.
I wanted to be better.
Aww.
I saw.
Just so you know, I did Jenny's hair for her wedding. I don't know if you knew that.
I did.
So I was there. It
And
was
just
so
so all
sweet.
of our listeners who don't know Jenny and Ari are married.
Jenny and Ari are married.
Yes.
We met them. Well, okay. I met Jenny years ago, but then they played in our softball team.
Yes.
And why I said I couldn't think is because when I met Ari, I was like, oh my god, Ari's so hot. And I was sitting here looking at his thighs, and I was like, I can't even think. Like, I always
So
want
full
to
of
sleep
shit.
with Ari. I swear to God. I talk about it all the time with Jenny. Okay,
Full of
so
shit.
then, Jenny, if you're hearing this, can you please tell him that we really do talk about this all the time?
Oh my
Then-
god.
Then Jenny in softball will call him Fat Bat. And I'm like, Jenny, does he really have a fat bat? She goes, yeah, that's why I call him that. And so then I'm picturing Ari with this fat dick
Oh.
every time I talk to him. And so then that's how I got introduced to Ari.
I don't think you really want to fuck me, dude. I think.
I
think
didn't
you
say I
just-
wanted to fuck you.
uh,
I said
That's what I
I'm
heard out of
picturing
that's what I
Your-
heard out of that.
big penis.
Oh, okay. All right.
In your mouth. Oh my god, I'm sweating. Okay, let's
Okay,
rewind.
Let's rewind. Okay, so your first year of sobriety. Ari's not laughing.
He's like, yeah, everybody wants to fuck me here.
Ari closed his legs just a little bit. Okay, so you have to ask because I can't think.
Why were we talking about Jenny?
Your
hair.
Oh, just the hair. Okay, forget about Jenny. We'll have her on here soon. Okay, we love Jenny. Your first year. Is there anything in your first year that you could tell us that you're like struggled through, got through it obviously because you have 8 years? Like your sponsors like, don't do this, and you did it, and you still persevered. You know what I mean? Anything. I want to know everything, the ups and downs.
Yeah, bring us back to that first year.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you get out of detox, your sponsor tells, do you still have the same sponsor that you had 8 years ago?
I do not.
Okay.
No.
So you had a
It's a backstory.
sponsor right out of detox, or no?
So I didn't do any detox, any treatment.
Oh, you were just
last
taking detox meds.
Yeah, I was
okay.
taking detox.
Okay, now I
detox
understand.
meds. And maybe that's why he made me change my day.
Absolutely. You
Yeah.
were not. You were doing it
Mhm.
yourself. Okay.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, you were prescribing yourself.
Yep.
This
so-
all makes sense.
Yeah, doctor. I'm
Yeah.
a doctor.
Yeah, you are a doctor. We are all our own doctors. We prescribe ourselves. We know what we need. Now it makes sense. Good job, sponsor. Okay. Okay. The truth has been revealed.
First year, like hardships. So I got fired. I got fired from a job. I had.
Immediately?
I was maybe 4 months sober.
Okay. Was
That's
this a
like-
get well job or the job you were doing when you were getting loaded?
So same industry, but get well job within that industry. Like I had left the other place where I was making a bunch of money, and then went to a new place, and I would just come into the office and put like my feet up on the desk and just scroll through Instagram all day, every day, and
So you also maybe got addicted to Instagram.
yeah, social media maybe.
Yeah, that's a real addiction. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're onto something there.
For sure.
And my, interestingly enough, I was working for my sponsor. So my sponsor fired me.
No
Yep.
way.
Yep.
In your first year.
Yeah, my first year. So we were, I think,
So your sponsor hired you, I'm assuming. Or did you get the job and then you found him through your work?
yeah,
We need
got
details.
the job. Yeah, got the job first. And then, he was sponsoring some other people that
Worked
were,
there?
yeah, that worked. There was, one other person that worked there.
Conflict of interest.
I know, big conflict of interest.
He saw dollar signs.
He saw dollar signs. He wasn't perfect, but he was 10 years sober. Yeah. He was 10 years sober. He was married. He had a kid. He was,
He had what you wanted.
he had some things that I wanted for
Yeah.
sure. He had his own business. He was really involved in Alcoholics Anonymous. And I was
Okay.
like, okay, like, let's go. And I always knew he was a little like, he was kind of no bullshit with his
Yeah. He was someone that
sponsors.
scared you a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I'd known him for years. I mean, I had recommended people to him, to go through the
okay.
steps, and then I was
Yeah.
like, ads. I should probably work with him, and but yeah, so he let me go, and so that was tough. That was a
Why?
big ego blow.
Why did he fire you? What'd you do?
Yeah, tell us.
It was just like,
Oh, you were just not working. You were scrolling on Instagram.
yeah, I just didn't.
You weren't a good employee. Okay, so then how did you deal with those feelings? Did you like talk to other people? How did you get out of that?
Did you fire him as your sponsor?
I didn't like really fire him. I just like stopped.
Calling.
Yeah, stopped calling, stopped communicating with him.
Because of your ego. It was
because of my
like, he
ego.
literally fired me and
Yeah.
he's my sponsor.
Mhm.
Dude, that is a serious conflict of interest. You could
It
have
was-
easily gotten loaded over that.
Mhm.
That's
And
crazy.
we talked to. We like went out to
Mm.
dinner that. It was either that night or a couple of nights later, and we like talked about it and everything, and like had a kind of plan to move forward. And I just,
In the back of your mind, you're like, hell no.
yeah, I'm like, this is just fucked up, right? Like, but nevertheless, that happened, and I think it was like one of the first times I ever like talked out like feelings with other people. You know what I mean?
Mm.
For sure.
Mm.
So that helped you get through that. And
Absolutely.
also, you had a really big part in that.
Yeah.
So by talking about it, you realize, oh, I maybe wasn't a good employee.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How quickly thereafter did you find a new sponsor?
Two years later.
A long time.
A long time.
A long time. Maybe I was at like 6 months. A long time.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, by the grace
So 2
of
months.
God.
You waited 2 months?
No, 6 months
No,
later.
No.
Oh, 6 months later, I thought you said
You were
No,
just
no.
doing your routine. Oh, at 6 months.
Yeah, so I initially said that like I was fired maybe at like 4 months. That's
Yeah.
right. I would say maybe closer to 6 months, or so. Yeah, maybe about 6 months or so
that you were fired?
that I was fired.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then you found a new sponsor when?
2+ years.
So you had no sponsor.
No sponsorless.
And what did the people in the meetings and your friends tell you? Or you weren't honest that you didn't have a sponsor?
I wasn't really honest that I
Yeah.
didn't have a sponsor. Maybe I told people that he was still my sponsor, but I was
Yeah.
like, because we didn't even have a breakup.
You didn't talk. Yeah. It's just like, oh, I just don't talk to him anymore.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
not as much.
Yeah.
It just like I guess I'm sorry.
That's
I
okay.
slowly started the amount of times that I was calling him per week or whatever.
Mhm.
Just slowly went like down and down and down, and we just never had the conversation of like, hey,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Which I think is pretty normal. We were talking
Yeah,
about it on a
it's
different
normal.
episode that like the fear of calling a sponsor and being like, hey, I don't want to work with you anymore is absolutely terrifying.
It's just like a relationship.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or any relationship.
And if you're in your first year,
Communication.
emotions are really hard to deal with anyways. And
Yeah.
so
So maybe it was good that you did that and
So-
maybe put it off until you could handle it. Who knows?
Yeah, I was a big
You were
avoidant
avoiding
guy.
it, yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
But you stayed sober because you had a good routine. So you went to meetings, talked to other guys,
yeah, how
still
does
kept
one-
going.
That's the whole point of this podcast is that none of us do sobriety perfectly and that like somehow you can stay sober no matter what
Yeah.
if you just don't pick up that first drink. So this is
Conscious
really cool.
decision.
Yeah, this is really cool to be like, okay, like I didn't do the program perfectly and yet like all I had to do was just not pick up because eventually you get into enough pain and you're like, fuck, I need to go get a new sponsor and actually start working on my steps. And that's, I feel like, pretty cyclical in a lot of people's sobriety. Like, it doesn't matter how much time you have, you know. A lot of times it's pain that really pushes us into wanting to do the work again.
So then did you have pain?
Absolutely, I had pain, but I think I stayed just close enough to the fellowship. I did a lot of hitting my knees in the first couple of years.
There you go.
I did a lot of hitting my knees, and I helped other people where I could. So I didn't totally stiff arm
Yeah.
Alcoholics
You weren't a dry
Anonymous.
drunk.
Yeah, I didn't totally stiff arm Alcoholics Anonymous. I wouldn't say totally dry, maybe moist.
I like that
Maybe
word.
damp.
I like that word too.
No, every time you look at him, I'm like, what are you thinking of?
I'm not thinking anything anymore. I had to say it so I can focus on Ari's first year of recovery.
That is how your head works. I do know
Yeah.
that now. Yeah, you have to get it out, otherwise it's all you're thinking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's super interesting. So, what other pieces of your first year were like you hear other people share in meetings and it's something that you can relate to because you did it and you can help somebody else? Relationships, whatever.
Yeah, relationships. I remember I was like on and off with a woman that I had been dating.
Not a girl.
Actually, I don't know if I would go that far. But yeah, I was on and off again with a girl that I dated on and off for like 3 years.
Yeah. Oh, before you got sober, you were.
Okay.
Okay.
And when I got healthy, obviously she was like wanting, to try and make it work again. And,
Yeah.
And against my better judgment, I was trying to do that, make it work, I guess. It was terrible. That was terrible. It was just
Was
like
she in recovery as well or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she'd been sober for I want to say 7 years maybe at the time, and
And you were a newcomer when she wanted you back?
newcomer. Yep, I was a newcomer,
Okay.
and she had some outside issues that had kind of been plaguing her throughout the 7 years of her sobriety, which I believe made it very difficult on
Yeah.
her end. And then obviously I couldn't stay sober, so it was just a shit show.
Yeah.
So dealing with kind of the feelings around that, like there was part of me that wanted to give her what like I couldn't give her before because I was sober, but I was just physically sober. I wasn't, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
wasn't healthy.
Emotionally sober.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how long did that last into this recovery?
So I think I kind of dragged it on and off for maybe a year and a half or so.
Okay. And
Uh,
you ended it?
Yes. Yep.
And she remains sober?
That's the word on the street.
Okay.
And
No,
my
I
wife-
meant like during that time.
Yes,
Like
yes,
it
yeah.
didn't take either of you out,
Correct.
obviously.
Mhm,
Well, that's
mhm.
good. So that was your first relationship sober?
Yeah, if you want to call it that.
A
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, wait, I have a question.
Around relationships.
No.
Oh.
So I just was thinking of something that we've never talked about on this podcast is, okay, so you're originally from Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And for people that don't know, we are filming in Orange County, California. That's where all three of us live. What is it like to live in a different state from your family and being in recovery? Because I feel like a lot of people, and I'm sure you guys have heard this too in meetings, they've moved here from Oklahoma or Texas or Florida or whatever, and they're like, I just need to get back home. Like, I don't want to be here anymore. I just want to be close to my family. Like, now that I'm sober, I want to go home. But sometimes that's not always the best. And I am just curious what your thoughts are on that and how that experience has been for
And
you.
what made you stay and everything.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, for me, so I first moved down here in 2008 to get sober.
Damn.
And I think I was really only a month into treatment when that kind of idea of going home just got squashed. And even though I was not to stay sober since 2008, like I was definitely at peace with not going back to the Seattle area.
What squashed the idea?
I think I knew deep down that if I was gonna get sober and progress my life forward, it was gonna happen here, and it wasn't gonna happen up there.
Has that been difficult to be away from your family? Or do you feel like you've built your own family here?
I think more of like I've built my own family.
And your
like,
mom comes visits you all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. There's been times where it's been more difficult than others, but with like family getting sick and illness and stuff like that. But
I want to talk about something. I want to talk about because a lot of people go out on relationships and being uncomfortable and stuff. Breezy and Ari had a huge fight. They did. And I was friends with both of them, and I thought it was so fun how everyone was on the softball team, and then Ari and Jenny had left the softball team, and it was kind of like, okay, my friends left, like it's not as fun. I mean, I made friends now with everyone else, and I was just like, oh my God, like I don't know what to do. But what I want to know is, because when you're sober and you do have arguments with friends, I want to know what you guys did to kind of come back together and how to stay sober through that, because it's uncomfortable. You guys maybe didn't want to go to the same meetings sometimes. I don't know, I'm guessing. And you guys left the baseball team that we were on. And then you guys came back around and how did you guys make amends towards each other
Mhm.
for you to be on our podcast? Because I know you guys had a problem together, and
Yeah.
how'd you guys deal with that? Because I know that takes a lot of people out.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And be honest, you can say Breezy's a bitch. You know, I want to know. Whatever.
I mean, I think for me, like my like learning experience with all that is that like I think that I was probably an idiot to think that stuff like that is just not going to happen, right? And just because
Yeah.
like these differences happen doesn't mean they have to be like blown into these dramatic things, right? And
100%.
the longer like that carried on, the weirder it got, right? At least for me in my personal head.
Without dealing with it.
Without dealing with
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
right? And it's like I had like dealt with it with like, you know, and like from like a sponsorship standpoint or AA standpoint, but not with that actual person, which actually is like the AA way, right? And so it was just like taking up unnecessary headspace, and the reality was it wasn't even that big of a deal. I think it was because Jenny and I were so close with Breezy that like made like it like worse and
Like,
harder.
your feelings were hurt more because you guys were closer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and it wasn't even that big.
Rumor.
Yeah,
It wasn't
Oh, it
even
was?
true.
I don't even know what happened.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we don't have to. I mean, if it's your choice, we don't have to talk about that.
So
but
Ari was my boss,
Okay.
which first and foremost, to go back to your question, the number one thing I learned is that like you don't work for people in the program or like really
You're
close
really good
friends.
friends, yeah.
Yeah. Like just like your sponsor, like
oh yeah,
you don't want to have like a dual relationship in this program because at the end of the day, like remember when Noah was talking about like I don't want to like get into a relationship with someone in my home group because what if things go south? Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want
yeah.
both of us to be able to go to our meeting. That's kind of how I feel about relationships in general now,
yeah.
because
It
of
doesn't
what
have to be
happened.
sexual.
Yeah.
Friends, whatever
Relationships
relationship.
take people out regardless of
Yeah.
what type of relationship it is. And so for me, that was the number one thing of just like, I need to be very careful about having dual relationships. Like, we're doing this as like fun. It's
For more
not
for
like,
fun. I'm not your
it's
boss, you're not my boss.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when there's like a hierarchy, then things can get a little twisted.
Yeah.
Secondly, for me, I found that I had like I had a really hard time detaching myself from outcomes and people and emotions, like
And
so that's
friendships
why.
at work.
Well, no. Like
Oh.
I take on people's stuff that has
Okay.
nothing to do with me. And so I've learned through therapy and going to double winners meetings, like I need to completely detach myself from outcomes and people and things because that's why we say the Serenity Prayer. Like I
Mhm.
don't have any control over this. I can't change it. What the fuck am I doing then? Why am I allowing this to upset me? So that for sure was a huge part on my end. Like that was my biggest fault in everything. So Ari and I had gotten into like some stupid unnecessary drama. He let me go. And then a rumor started
Yeah,
after
yeah,
that. And so it all like had he let me go, I was like, oh, whatever. Like I was only there part-time. It wasn't a huge deal. Like it was more so like, oh, this is fun. Like I get to go and hang out with my friends every day at work, you know?
Yeah.
And so then the rumor happened and then it exploded. And then it was like once the explosion happened, it was hard to come back together until both of us could do the work on like what really happened.
Yeah.
And so, because obviously ego, pride, all of that stuff gets in the way. And like, I think at the really deep part of it, it was like all just fear of like, you know, like,
Yeah.
am I worthy? Am I enough? And, you know, all
Yeah,
those things.
the
And
deeper
so,
stuff.
Yeah. And so I had reached out to Ari to make amends to him. And then he got back to me like 6 months later and was like,
I'm
hey,
ready.
got your text message. I also would like to make amends. And I was like, that's great, you know? And I think that the reason that we decided we would like to talk about this is because a lot of times people do damage relationships, even in sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
And if both people are continuing to work on themselves, like there can be a light at the end of the tunnel, which is so cool and so beautiful about sobriety. That's literally my favorite thing, is that we both did the work, and like I was hitting my knees and praying for Ari and Jenny when everything was going on, and it was like, in God's timing, I know that like eventually we'll get there.
I remember you said that.
And so when he finally called me, I was like, hey dude, what's up? Like we were like so cool immediately. Like it was as if no time had passed whatsoever, and a year and a half had passed, you know, like it was a long chunk of time. And so it was like, hey, this, you know, this is crazy. Let's talk about it. And then immediately he was like in Ulta getting stuff for Jenny, and we were just like shooting this shit over the phone. I was like, wow, that's the coolest thing ever.
I love
like
it.
what a gift of this program.
Yeah, I mean that shit should have been ironed out in the first like week, right? It's just so
Yeah, but
crazy.
it wasn't, you know?
Yeah, it wasn't.
But I think
It's a
everything
learning
happens for a
thing.
reason.
Yeah.
Like, well, I hate that saying. I think nothing in God's world happens by mistake.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite line in the big book. And I think that situation I learned so much from in the moments of like chaos and discomfort after everything, that like you can only get better through like all of that time. So I'm grateful that like it wasn't squashed right away, because I feel like we both did so much work because of it, you know, to like really get back as friends.
And what'd you learn, Ari?
I mean, when she said like with the, you know, like not, you know, not like working for friends or, you know, hiring friends, like I think there's definitely a lot to be said for that. I like had a, like my intuition was telling me like before, like we were even working together, like, hey, this like might not be a good idea. And not just like in particular with Breezy, but like
As a friend.
just any friend that I've hired, because I've hired a lot of friends. And I always get that kind of intuition, and it doesn't really.
And you don't listen.
It doesn't work out. So it's like I'm the insane person because I'm not like I keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. I'm not trusting my gut, right? And it's like it has nothing to do with Breezy. It probably has more so to do with like my inability to handle certain situations, and just like at that time, at the time that I was starting that business, I mean, I wasn't like particularly in the middle of, you know, Alcoholics Anonymous or doing all the right sober things. So I'm not shocked that that didn't work out at all.
So you are saying like, trust your gut.
Trust your gut.
Yeah.
Trust your gut.
You learned that.
We know. We
Yeah. And I feel like through all of that too, like I've been much better at hitting my knees and being like, if this is meant for me, make it abundantly clear. And if it's not meant for me, make that also abundantly clear. So that way, when someone is like, hey, you should come work for me, it's not like, okay, cool, sounds good. Like, I really have to sit and be like, okay, is this really what's best for me? Is this
stop when agitated?
Yeah.
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 Not
Halt.
jump in.
Halt. Yeah. Okay, so for those in their first year, what piece of advice can you give to them?
Don't hire your friends. Especially Breezy. Don't hire Breezy for anything. I'm just kidding.
The best word.
I know you are the best.
Thank you.
I would say the best thing, and I can just really, for me, right?
Yeah, for you.
It truly was one day at a time. One day at a time. That was like my mantra, right?
Yeah.
And it worked for me. It was just like, all I got to do is just get through today. Get me through today, and then I got a shot at tomorrow, right? And that's, and then obviously like I identify with Alcoholics Anonymous, and that's my people,
Mhm.
um, and so if that is like kind of where you're leaning, just do all the things, come in, sit all the way down, help other people, get a commitment, work the steps, get a sponsor. You know what I mean? Uh, it was so crazy to me that like once I like did what the program was suggesting that I do the whole time,
It
it
just worked.
it worked
Yeah.
Yeah.
just like that.
I have
Simple.
one final question. How does your sobriety look today versus what it looked like in that first year?
Oh my gosh, totally different. Um, like I have that peace of mind that I always wanted. Like I can get just the shit kicked out of me every day, and like I'm like okay. I'm okay. And yeah, I mean, some days I'm like, holy fuck, and I'm exhausted by the end of the day, but I'm totally cool.
Yeah.
And I can, for the most part, just roll with the punches. Um, and I've had this past year's been heavy, and, we're just rolling with the punches. But, so that's kind of like emotionally, like the difference there. And I truly, like I'm doing so much more Alcoholics Anonymous. I help other people. I show up. I have a true home group. Um, but I'm married.
Mm.
I I have 2 kids.
Mhm.
Right.
They're so cute.
Pay our bills. Check our mailbox.
Oh my god, checking the mailbox gives me anxiety.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just totally different.
You own a
Yeah.
business.
Own a business that's growing, which is cool. But here's the deal. I think about this all the time. Like, I'll blow that shit up to stay sober. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like, I know that like I could lose that business and I'd be 100% okay.
Yeah.
2 years ago when we were like going through that stuff,
Yeah.
like that's probably not the case. Like I probably would have freaked out and gotten
Yeah.
loaded.
Yeah. But
Maybe,
today you
I
have
don't know.
peace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
That's so cool.
Thanks for coming,
thank you,
Ari.
Ari.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks for coming at
Bat.
7 Fat Bat.
I hope everyone really enjoyed that specific part of this.
And
episode.
I hope you guys come back to our softball team.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been talking about it. We want to make that happen.
Cute.
Okay.
We want to figure out how to make that happen.
And one day we'll have Jenny and Ari on.
Together.
Yeah.
Jenny's
That'd be
Jenny's creeping up on a year.
Yeah.
I know, I already talked to her. I want her. I actually wanted her before you, but you have a year, so.
You don't have
I'm
a year.
second
you have over
choice.
a year.
Your second choice.
Okay, anyways, I'm Breezy.
I'm Jimmy.
And we are
Sober Disclosure.
Woo!
This episode is brought to you by Light Salon, Orange County's premier destination for expert hair color. At Light Salon, we specialize in creating stunning custom color transformations that highlight your natural beauty. Owned and operated by passionate, sober stylists, we bring authenticity, creativity, and precision to every client experience. Light Salon.